Attention gamers. I've been playing ADC champs in the support role recently, which has been raising more eyebrows than Botox, but those noobish naysayers buckled up in the backseat quickly shut up when they compare me to the enemy team support. But it's not all rainbows and barred tunnels, boys. You see, when I lock in these picks, I typically get a comment that can be translated as, "I'm an angry league player who craves the touch of a woman. How dare you go off meta in this normal draft mode game?" And this is the internet, so people will piggyback onto one guy's opinion flaming me, to which I'll say something like, "Don't worry, I'll carry," because that's what league YouTuber Monopoly Manswag would do, and then they will say something like, "You are a support, you shouldn't be trying to carry," and while they have a point, I'd rather just not already hate each other before an unranked video game even starts, so I leave it at that. Anyways, laning phase is going well. I'm poking these kids like they are cadavers in an anatomy lab when the dude who was flaming me in Champ Select gets this brilliant idea. That said, my beige flag is that I see a dumbass decision being made and I commit to it like I was the one who pitched it, so a little 2-for-1 trade started off the game. But when you play off meta in league, you want to avoid the situation where your teammates feed due to being dumb shits themselves, because you absolutely will be the one they blame. So when you see things like Zeds pathing down while your ADC is more pushed up than an insecure bimbo's tits at Coachella, so you ping your ass off but he doesn't listen, you better hope to God that some water tribe toddler is going to be riding a domesticated Yeti in with a 600-pound snowball to save the day, or you'll be the one getting reported after the game. Turns out I became good friends with the yelping Yeti rider and we fell in love with the pattern of bitch bowling that stinky ash hole in lane and then sending her back to base. We got so close that I eventually opened up about my older sister, saying she's always trying to punch everything, dragons included, and I even offered to fire an ace up her a-hole to facilitate in correcting that behavior. Sure, there were moments during our time together that I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be driving that thing when you've been drinking, but I may have had one too many myself. It still worked out, and then I was always the one riding the high saying, "Come on guys, one more homicide," until they would reluctantly agree, even though killing the ash was admittedly getting a bit old at this point. My sister would come hang out on occasion, thinking I was naive for trying to support, so I was quick to show her how effective this can be, while my friend from Freljord would come to make it a safe space for me in case the family dynamic turned hostile. Honestly, things were going great when it came to just me versus their support, which may make you wonder why we all voted to fuck this and go to Papa John's. To explain this, I need to tell you about their top laner. You see, my pre-game scouting report warned that she'd been abusing Riot August's newest stupid shower idea, laning aggressively, taking towers, and loving the win rate that came from it. This warning was provided to me by the free app Professor, which also gives you build recommendations for every pick, even if it's off meta Caitlyn support, while offering a ton of other features to help you in your games. My favorite is the enemy cooldown tracker, which you can use to know when the enemy has summoner spells up, so you know not to do something like, I don't know, flash under tower at level 3. It has live comparison stats as well as awesome post-game reports so that you can find areas to focus on improving, not to mention they are paying me to say nice things about them, so use my link in the description to get it for free today. But yes, the warning signs were right, and no one wanted to deal with a fed version of Riot's newest abomination, so we would rather just not play the video game and all go next. But I don't want you to worry, there is a game in this video where I get flamed even harder for my pick, but first I wanted to show how well this normally goes. You see, ideally instead of getting flamed I get recognized by a fellow Eskimo. This positive reinforcement to any psych major who knows all the things about Freud and how sucking a mom's tit too long can affect your ambition 40 years later. We'll see how well I play when I'm not getting flamed. We turn level 2 first, and then I inform Rebecca over here with the frisbees that she will not like being in my net. Then Lux fulfills the stereotype of being a dumb blonde by walking up to us as if she wants to show us a TikTok on her phone without realizing I'm pro gun rights, and Kaisa ejaculates purple things that will hurt if she gets too close. Then a minute later I have a whole plan laid out where I've deployed a gooch grabber in the shrubs, and I just know that if I tickle this Lux's pickle she'll walk right into it. This leaves her with less health than a chain-smoking COPD French bulldog as my jungler comes in cosplaying a janitor, fully prepared to clean this shit up. Boomerang Betty does get away, which is sad as shit until you consider she came back to lane just to slip a fart out in the shrubs, not realizing we'd be watching, and Kate support does a goddamn disrespectful amount of damage to ADCs this early, so she dies. This leaves Bimbo Baggins alone, so I walk up more aggressively than a horny bullet ant, knowing that a trade is worth if it means Kaisa can shove wave into tower right after. Side note, my recording cut off for just this next play as it turns out recording over 60 hours of classic World of Warcraft gameplay and not deleting the files fills up your memory pretty quick, so this double kill that your eyeballs are experiencing is brought to you by Riot's shitty replay system. Back to the spazzy cam POV, I noticed PJ Fuckface was looking ready for bed, so I fired an ace up that bleached a hole for another kill. And I'm not sure which specific psychedelics this Sivir was on, but something about my traps were quite tempting to sit her flat ass cheeks on so I could combo incorrectly to kill her. The enemy's hard carry was one of those nightmare Barneys stuck in the Michael Jackson Thriller pose, and my attacks just tickled Mr. 172 armor, but once he would go down the rest of them would melt like butter on a boiling baked potato. Sure, their bot had a more quote-unquote meta support, but what they didn't have was heartbeats every time we saw them. Omega lol. This brings us to the clip in the intro where the BJ Queen fucked around and found out. I then opted into ulting Sivir from auto attack range a second time before timing a kill steal that I told my mom about later at dinner, and that, my friends, is how it goes when I don't get flamed. But this last game was quite the opposite. I had to play Jhin because my ADC banned Caitlyn after seeing me hover her. This is fine, but after her albino whining ass got hit by a single brand W, she opted into standing still backing while I got burnt like a pizza roll right in front of her because she was too busy typing FF and sup gap, quite literally 3 minutes into the game. She decides to show off why she deserves to be on a pedestal in the backseat and call me out for my gameplay by executing quite the impressive 1v1 performance against their support herself while I'm running back to lane. It's then my turn to strut my stuff, to which I land a flashy combo as she calls me trash, thinking I fumbled that kill poetically as the ignite tick kills her off. I then back and metaphorically toss the baton back to the albino, who oh so gracefully overextends like a CryptoZoo's deadline to pay back its investors while comboing her poor decision making with an astounding absence of any sense of mechanics until she goes down alone again, to which she of course has to say just how greener the grass is on the other side. Then, instead of pathing straight back to lane to get to her wave in time, she runs up towards river only to attract the attention of the local wall hacking Reaper. This leaves her low and rage backing like the petty little fuck that she is, only to stop it because she's still tantruming, and unfortunately you can't cast abilities when your chat bar is open, so she dies, leaving me to get a little cleanup trade in return. Our jungler comes, and maybe it's because I'm going to hell for the things I say in these videos, but I had no issues having synergy with Satan to snatch some kills. Anyways, we clearly see Bran path into the cheddar cheese bush, but her eyesight is too hued red to see anything except for other people's problems, so she auto walks back to lane only to get chunked down to 25% immediately, which I'm starting to find funny. This carelessness opens her up to being the prime recipient of a taint tenant, which in this case was Kanye. Sorry girl, I could be on Soraka Blitzcrank Nautilus, nothing but a goddamn zillion is saving you from that one, but the best I could do is zoom way out and count to 3 with some zazz in her honor. Of course, her sucking more ass than a poop vacuum is 100% a sole result of my pick, but let the record state I stayed positive and tried to gently tell her to stop being a board certified dumb shit. Her response was that of a spoiled rich brat bitch who didn't get a Lambo for her 16th birthday party. That said, me and lanky Lucifer were still synergizing like synchronized swimmers, and this bitch leaving their AD carry left alone, so I thin beamed her and prayed that something positive would go this Jinx's way. I tried to be more positive than the penis side of a AA battery, but she clearly has never been the recipient of love in her life. Luckily, I have a true parenting moment opportunity right after to show her that she's fearing things that don't have to be her reality, and then I try to reinforce that event in her mind, but I guess some people are just allergic to a non-negative thought after so many hours on this game. Keep in mind things are going well for my team. We are ahead in kills, getting objectives. I'm triangle death simulatoring the shit out of their team when finally my 6-0 spree comes to an end. This means I unfortunately can't babysit Pissy Powder for a few seconds, so I verbally try to inform her to stop being such a blind thoughtless bitch, but of course she's going to completely ignore that warning and die right after. That said, our biggest problem quickly shifts away from Jinx and the consequences her fucked up childhood have clearly had on her mentality, and onto a much worse issue. The fact that Riot literally thinks they don't have a damage creep problem in their game, so I'd like to direct your attention to a short montage that I will call, WTF Uncle Rito. Okay, the raid boss eventually went down, and with him not tainting this game, we were able to ace the rest of the team with some clearly trolling reportable Jin support gameplay, and clearly the only logical ending to this game is that we won. Jinx said she was sorry for being a clitzit to me all game and we became friends. Right? Rav out.